Hey guys, here's the gear. Stirling Spice, a classic scent from Stirling, Old Spice inspired, of course. I'm going to continue using the Pella blade, also known as the Personna, same blade, and we're going to put it inside the Supply single edge. And this is not quite the version 1.0, it's probably identical, but this is one they released for trials, for evaluation for folks, and so that's why Michael Friedberg got it, and he is loaning it to me for now. And I am putting that Pella blade in it. It did great with the Chinese Schick blades, and today we're going to use the Pella with the base plate that is the mildest option, called ultra smooth. No, sensitive. I think sensitive is the word they chose to use, and it's not the most new version. They did do the 2.0, but now they've come out with it, and they're just calling it the SE, and they've changed it to a more open comb base plate. And this little guy is the 1438, and he is a Semogue Boar brush. He is the Excelsior line, which is what Semogue had for a long time, and now they've got the Hereditas. But this guy, I think, he's always been extra grade bristles, and so I don't think he's going to change between the Excelsior and Hereditas. Did I make a note? 1438. Yeah, extra extra. So he stays the same. He is my little inspiration because he is the only one I had, I think, that had only the extra hair. And so when I heard the bad news that the Hereditas line was going to be moving some of the grades down into the extra, kind of things were taking a step down, I didn't actually feel too bad because this is a really enjoyable brush. It's not prickly or scritchy or any of that, at least not so far in the first 24 uses or so, 25 uses. So I thought he is going to feel at home in this big old 6-ounce tub of soap. He's going to have plenty of room to do his moving around and gathering up soap and all that stuff. So, then I remembered that using a smaller brush is a great opportunity to bring in my Pereira lather bowl. It doesn't really do, it gets a little cramped when I use a larger brush, like some 26s and that kind of thing, and anything bigger than that. But this is not that. This is smaller. So I'll have plenty of room inside this bowl for him. So I am going to get my, let's see, he's been soaking for about almost 20 minutes by the time we are going to start everything. And I wanted to say something. I just started today soaking this Omega plastic handle white. Kind of looks like that Pro 48, but maybe the loft isn't quite as long as the Pro 48. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to have to look it up. This is my beater brush. This is one I got kind of for free, and I'm going to do hair dryer treatments on him until the cows come home, and we're going to see what he turns into. I don't care I don't care if I destroy him. I don't care if all the tips fall off. This is my experimental, aggressive treatment brush, and we'll just see. Like maybe every day, I'll soak him for a while in water and then blow dry him with my treatment. And I may even use hot setting on the blow dryer instead of the warm I'm using on the brushes that I like. And I am going to shave with it soon just to have a benchmark for how the bristles feel, because I mean that's the whole point, right? I need to know if it turns it into something magically delicious and soft. Okay, get my face wet, and we are ready to go ahead and load up. Now this and the 1305 are both brushes that have some kind of lacquer or paint over a wooden core. And so you do need to make sure not to let them soak for a long time in water that's too close to the handle. If the water gets up into the wood, then it'll happen like it did for me. It'll crack a little bit because the inside will swell up. The paint doesn't swell, but the wood inside does, and so you get a crack. Now, to me, and the reason I bought this brush, I didn't need another one, but it's this cool little vintage look to it. It just totally looks vintage. And so in a sense, I don't mind if there's a crack in the lacquer or whatever it is, because it's just kind of part of the look. All right. This brush does not hold a ton of water, so we're going to shake out a lot of it. And then why don't we do a 30-second load starting at the 20-second mark. And you can definitely feel he's a stiffer brush, a stiffer bristle. And already we've kind of got a little bit of wetness. Let me let some of that drip down into the lather bowl just so it doesn't make a big mess around here. 50. Yeah, 50 is when we're going to stop. Oh, there we go. And there it was. So look, we've already kind of been able to grind up some interesting early lather here, because it's not wet, you know, it's not super wet. It's light and bubbly, that sort of thing. All right. That reminds me, I want to do a dry load series where I load relatively drier than I usually do, you know, like squeezing out the brush, that sort of thing, just to see if I learn something. All right, so here's the lather that was poured in from the tubs, kind of overflow, stuff that was gonna fall out. And then I think we're gonna end up with plenty of lather here. Now the Pereira bowl is a little bit, I wish it was a little bit wider, because see, my knuckles are kind of, even with this tiny brush, they're kind of bumping against the sides. And of course, part of that is part of the reason of that is because I'm having to reach down because it's such a small handle. More of my hand has to be down in the bowl. And so with a longer handle, you're not going to have that. I do like the cool nubs and stuff that the Pereira bowl has in the bottom of it. It's not necessary. It just helps a little bit. But what they are necessary for is if you ever set your brush in like that, nubs or some kind of contour on the bottom helps the brush to stay that way instead of sinking down into the mess. All right, so let's add some water. I just realized if I could do like I did just there and add water with my left hand, then my right hand's not gonna get the jigger there all soapy and messy. Yeah, we got the great aromatics coming up there, the spiciness and all that. And yeah, you can feel the strength in the bristle here. You can feel that backbone. But I think what happens is the outer half of the bristle, the end of the bristle, it flexes enough to where you enjoy it and it's comfy, and it's, you don't feel, I don't feel like my face is getting shoved around, you know, that kind of thing. This is the normal beef tallow that Stirling has. We're getting some pretty melty looking lather there. So I think we might be in a really good place. And just to bring you up to speed, last time I showed you guys my chart here, and I'm going to be putting a check mark there in the 1438 under the 26 column. And so this will be the 26th use of this brush. And then when everybody gets to 27, then we'll start, or when a brush reaches 27, I can start doing the hairdryer treatments on it. And hopefully we'll be able to watch these brushes grow and mature quickly, get into a really happy zone more quickly. Because I'm not able to just use one brush over and over because of my large rotation. All right, well, I showed you the lather. It looks great. I pressed down a lot to make sure that any water that was in the middle of the knot there at the root would get exposed to the soap. So, ready to go. Get my face wet. And then we can wipe off some of that excess. All right, little 1438. Let's remind me how you feel on my face. Yeah, see, nice and easy. I mean, even at this early stage, it's not scritchy. You know, I ran across some kind of description that said it was a little scratchier than other grades, you know. But I just don't get that. I just don't get a sense of scratchiness at all. I mean, maybe that's something that comes later, but I don't think so. I would think scratchiness would come before this kind of feel. And then you would, with use, you would move toward the smoother end of the spectrum, and you would move out of scratchy and more toward what I'm feeling right now. Now, granted, I wouldn't really want to be using this brush because of its kind of scrubby nature. I wouldn't want to be using it if I was using an aggressive razor. But man, I bet when we get these tips to split, this might be a really fun little brush. Sure looks like a great travel brush because of its size. $14.38. And when the handle gets messy like that, it is a little bit of work to keep a hold of it. And so if I'm in the presence of running water and if I'm working at a sink, I'll definitely rinse all that off so that it's easier to hold on to. Don't have to have the brush handle death grip. Now, I think if I work my skin for quite a while, longer than I really need to, I could maybe see a little sense of scritch coming up because it's kind of scrubbing at the skin. So maybe a person who is a face latherer and has to work their face especially when the soap is in a more concentrated state and more drying on your skin and all that. Maybe that kind of person experiences this brush differently. I think we're ready to go. I don't remember it having this much backbone, but I'm sure it did. And I was just forgetting. Maybe I was just thinking it was going to come into it with a lot of, scratchiness. Maybe that's what it was. And so relative to that, I thought it felt pretty good. And then this one doesn't have a very high loft. Let's look at the other. Here's the 1250 I used the other day. And then here's the 1438. And if we match their little bands here together, you can see that this one has a few millimeters more loft, like maybe 4. And so then that's going to, if you get the Hereditas where this is the extra knot on this loft here, then that's going to be even a little bit less scrubby, because with that extra loft, you get a little bit more flexibility and bend. And so then the longer that loft gets, that extra grade becomes more kind to you. Okay, we are ready. Now, what we're going to see today is that Pella blade. It's now in its sixth use, I think, and we're going to see if the mild setting is still relevant. It's still a workable setting here. Do I need to, bump it up? Let's find out. Day and a half growth, maybe just a day. I don't know. Because I used another Pella blade, like I've been telling you guys recently with these tests, even on the medium setting, and it was just on its fifth use or fourth use or something, one less than this one, and it did not do very well. Now I'm getting a lot of comfort here. I'll find out during kind of the rinse if I'm actually cutting down hair. I think I am. Pretty sure I am cutting it down. One big difference, somebody was asking me in the comments on YouTube, I think, big difference between the vintage Schick injectors and this guy. 100%. First thing is the weight. These are light, super light, very head heavy because this is all kind of the Bakelite. This guy, he's steel. He's a stainless steel version. And this kind of lightly goes over your face and it's easy to keep a light touch. This guy has a different presence on your face. And that's one of the big differences. This guy, I think, can be a little smoother. Especially with the mild and the medium plates. There we go. Yeah, that went well. Now let's feel it during the rinse and see if it really went well. Yeah, we definitely did some good cutting. So that was comfortable and we got some nice stubble taken down. So let's hit that 1438 again. I don't want too much water in my beard. Kind of charge up the brush, press the lather up into the knot so that it opens up a little bit more, I think we've got a really nice lather here, well hydrated. All right, and the mild plate again with the Pella cross grain now. I think I told you guys, but I don't think I told you a lot. I think I maybe mentioned it once, but I did get in on the pre-order for the Blackland era. It is a stainless steel razor. And you can get different plates with it. Open comb as well as solid bar. I'm looking forward to it because Blackland, I love the saber, but that's a single edge. The dart is a double edge, and it's right up there near my tolerance for aggression, and so I don't just love it. The Blackbird I had to sell, too aggressive for me. And that's a good, comfy cut there for the second pass. And those are the Blackland razors that I've tried. And so I would love to get one in that has the, looks like it has a propensity for really good blade clamping right up toward the end, right up toward the edge. And I ordered the lower settings and then one open comb to try that out. And looking forward to it. The handle looks very much like the Saber. It's that kind of bar handle with some indentation rings in it, and then it flares out a little bit before it cuts in, just like the Saber handle does. I mean, in a sense, I think it might have been better with a razor that you're calling the Era. It's almost like the game changer from Razor Rock. You know, it's a big word. It's a sizable change, and so I kind of think they might have been better to not reuse the Saber handle. In essence, it's not exactly the same, but pretty darn close. You know, give it just some uniqueness, right? But maybe that's a, I mean, I like the Saber handle, nice and solid. Good size, good width. It's not too thin, but it's got some weight to it. Now he did this little kind of a gimmicky thing where it's got the slots, and he's going to give you some O-rings to put in any of the slots that you want for grippiness. I'm definitely going to try that out and see, but it kind of feels gimmicky to me, but who knows? Maybe by trying it out, I'll discover that it's actually a really cool thing. But the whole thing is, he found these people who actually, you have a 3D printer for steel, which seems to be a crazy thought, but it's true. And it does, if you've seen any 3D printed items like my gray bowl that I've used so many times, can you see the texturing there? Because of the layers of material laid down, it doesn't have a smooth surface because it's made of just hundreds of layers of, in this case, plastic. And so the steel is going to have a similar texture to it. But he said it was a mix of the 3D printing and the CNC milling. And so I read some of his site that said that what he did was, it's the whole razor's 3D printed, but then the surfaces, they then take the surfaces on the base plate and the top gap that come in contact with the blade and clamp it down, and that's what they put into this milling machine. They mill down those surfaces to be those wonderful exact tolerances that we need. And so the business end, the important parts, are CNC controlled with precision. Very comfortable shave here. There are other razors that are more comfortable, but I kind of think it might be the blade. I think I like the Chinese Schick blade better than these Pellas / Personas. But it's getting the job done nicely, and I don't think most people would have a problem. But this is kind of telling me that I don't think this blade is one that I would enjoy using on some kind of marathon. Rinse. I just checked with the mirror, and even the mild blade here has given me a very close shave. Closer than the aggressive head. And this is something I've noticed sometimes with me and my skin, especially this hollow area right here. If it's too aggressive, this skin tends to get irritated, tends to get nicked and that kind of thing. And I kind of have to be careful and cautious with it. But if it's a mild and protected kind of blade edge, not aggressive, then I'm able to just go over that area at multiple angles with much more safety and comfort, and I end up with a closer shave. I think some people are the opposite. They need that aggressive razor to get close, and that suits them, right? All right. But for me, it's that way. So I'm going to take and put a little mark. Today was the 1438, and I'm going to put it under the 26 column. And there we go. And after one more use, we can start just like we can with these other two right here, the 1305 and the 1800. With both of those, actually, I can start doing the hairdryer treatments now if I wanted to. I want to do 5 before I put the next use on it. And then hopefully with, as you can see, 3 sets of 5 hairdryer treatments will give us now then this 30th use over here. And hopefully we'll be able to see a big softness improvement from these shaves over here. Boar brushes. I think they're a lot of fun. There's just so much dynamic nature to them as they grow, as they're young. Now, sure, once you get 600 uses in them, I believe that's a point where most of them have leveled off, and that you're just going to enjoy them from that point on at the comfort level where they are. But early on, man, they just change. All right. I did end up with more lather than I needed. I'm guessing I've got about, I could probably squeeze 3 passes out of that, but 2 comfortable passes. And that's kind of where I like to stand regarding lather usage. And then here's that little brush rest. I have found some brushes that don't sit in that properly because of the roundness, and the roundness, the widest part of the handle is see, look at that. The weight sometimes pulls certain brushes out of the brush rest. So, but the important thing is, since the bottom has those little nubs and hills in there, then that's what stops the brush and keeps it from sinking down. And to me, that's much more important than some type of brush rest. Even on my 3D lather bowl here, and this brush rest is a much better design. I have just not found a single brush handle that doesn't balance properly in this design. And I still don't use it very much. I use it more as just a handle to hold the bowl, because this one has a bump in the middle to keep the brush from sliding down, and that's more important for me. Now, there is a big difference between these two brushes. This is the 1250, this is the 1438. They're both in the Excelsior line, and so this one has the, I'm checking to make sure, the best boar bristles, and this one has the extra grade. And huge difference. This one just feels, right now it's got kind of a broom dry quality because it's not wet, it's not soaked, the bristles haven't absorbed the water. But when it has, man, this just is flexible, and it just feels so light on your face. This is the opposite. You feel the backbone, you feel the tips, okay? And so now maybe this guy has had different kinds of uses. Maybe he's soaked for longer, and so his tips are a little bit different. But I just think it's the grade of hair. I think it's noticeable. But I look forward to what's going to happen in the future, much like the Omega here. These are still kinder bristles, but similar. I look forward to having backbone later on with the extra split tips that will come in the future, and seeing what that brings to the experience. Because this guy has easier softness regarding the strand material, and then extra super luxury softness, I'm sure, is what we're going to get when the tips split. But this guy has the softness mainly in the tips, and we've got backbone in the bristles. And so I think he's going to end up, we've already got, some outliers here. We've already got a few splits. So we're on our way. Just a few more uses, and we'll be able to hair dry him some and just watch him change. All right. post shave now. The Stirling spice is around me. It's a light scent now. And so, you know what? Let us remember now to, let's see. Well, the spice is kind of a, I was going to use one of my Chatillon Luxe salves, but I think this spice is a little too heavy and it would conflict with, I mean, the genius of Sean Maher with those two products. I have Bon Vivant and Grey Jolie Square, and I just don't want the spice to kind of make me not enjoy those things as much. Put a little bit of, so we're going to turn to this, which has some vetiver, citrus, and woods, and this is one I've used a lot lately from Zingari Man, the Explorer. And there we go. That's the shave. Very comfortable face. Nice close shave too. I think I just saw the tips. I don't think I really saw any length on any tips. So that is above average for me. And I think that mild plate just lets me work an area to completion until it's done properly from different angles and different strokes, whereas the more aggressive plate starts to irritate my skin and doesn't let me hit it in as many ways. So that's why I think I get a closer shave in this case and in other cases with a milder razor. Oh yeah, that smells good. That's very compatible with the Stirling spice. Yeah, very good. All right, guys. Anything else to share with you? The water usage. That lather was pretty much perfect. Very well hydrated. 20 milliliters of water used. All right. Looking forward to it. Now, I think this is going to be the last shave with the Supply 0.9, because it's not quite the 1.0. It's what they call the single edge. And so, for the last time, I'm going to take out the little bolt slowly, being careful to hold on to the little spring that's also on the bolt. And then, there we go. See, it's a funny little shape when it's all disassembled. Man, I have just really enjoyed using this razor. Michael Friedberg loaned it to me, and it's been a whole different experience because it is different from the vintage injectors because of its weight. And then because it also has the adjustable plates, you can have, the aggressive plate is actually kind of medium aggressive to slightly maybe more than that, at least to my skin. The mild plate is truly a mild plate, and the middle one I think sits in a really happy place. Maybe for me, it sits maybe in a comfort level of 4 out of 10, and so it doesn't sit exactly in the middle, but I'm happy with that because I get a great shave from it. Easy daily driver, just like the mild plate would be. So big win there. So I'm giving the parts a wipe down before we send it back to Mr. Friedberg. I've learned that the Pella blades, which also are the Personna injector blades, work for me up to 6 uses, and I'm sure they would go farther, but I don't know how much farther. The Schicks from China in the yellow packaging were my favorite because they were they seemed to cut the hair more easily, and so that feel was a smoother feel. And then maybe that's all there was to it, but it just it felt more smooth while it cut just as well. So there are other versions of this razor going around. The 2.0 is out there, has a slight difference. And I'm going to put, I believe, when he sent me this razor, I believe it had the little spacer kind of shipping decoy plate in there. So I'm going to put that back. Glad I remembered about that. It doesn't have an edge on it. It's all square edges, and it's not going to cut yourself. So, what a great thing to try. Like I've said the whole time, if this razor was given to a person coming over from cartridge razors, I think it might be a good idea. I think the weight, of course, is going to be different, but I bet they'll perceive that as quality. They'll know that it's a stainless steel razor. There is an alloy version of this, which is probably not going to last quite as long, not going to be quite as many lifetimes of use, but probably a very long time if you care for it, especially the bolt, and just dry everything out after a while. But I think it's easy to find the angle. It's pretty easy as long as you take your time. You don't rough up areas unless you really want to. I got a little tenderness even on this mild plate, see? And I think it's just the blade. I don't think the Personna and Pella, and this right here is where I do get a lot of irritation. If I do get just a hint, then this is where I get it. And it's where my beard changes to kind of normal skin. And it's a soft area. And but it's very light, really, really light. And it's going to go away in a matter of minutes, 5 minutes, if that. So, Michael Friedberg, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful experience. I could be happy with this razor for the rest of my life if I was stuck with it, was traveling or whatever, or some nuclear bomb destroyed all my stuff. It's a quality built item. I don't like the way it's tapered when I'm holding it upside down, because you just really you feel like it's going to fall out of your hand because of the taper here. But when most of the time you're holding it right side up, and then it settles down into your hand pretty nicely. So I'm a fan. I am a fan. If I had to choose, I think I like the feel of the vintage a little better. It's easier to maneuver. It's less heavy. And it has a lighter feel on my face. And normally I'm not a lighter feel kind of guy, but I think in this case, I seem to be. But either way, it's a very good razor. I enjoyed using it. And anybody who bought it is probably going to have a good time. The face feels great after that. That balm really helps out in a non-greasy kind of way. I got a nice close shave. Happy with the razor. The mild setting works great for me. The medium does too. I don't know. I don't guess I'd need to really fool around with the aggressive, just because if the closeness is great, which it is in the medium and the mild, then why risk any irritation with the aggressive? At least for me, that's kind of my thought, and how it probably works out for me. So so that's it as far as that. So I need to ship some things back to Mr. Friedberg. He let me try out this very stiff 2-band Badger brush from Heritage Collection. He also let me try the fine aluminum slant. Now, I'm going to look at my data. I'm pretty sure I just used this once. Man, it's so light. I'm going to look at my data. And unless this thing was really aggressive for me and caused me kind of roughness, I think I'm going to put another blade in it and give it a try before I send it back to him. But I think for now, I'm good with the Injector. It was a wonderful experience. I've seen them on the used market so much. And so I'm glad I was able to bring that to you guys. I've had some good conversations online in the comments with you folks about it. So, Stirling Spice. cleaned off the threads on the towel there, and he's ready to go with the other enjoyable Stirling soaps that I'm using. I'm starting to, I still have plenty of other Stirling soaps left, but I'm starting to run out of the ones that I have kind of nearby. Maybe Gatlinburg. Maybe that will be tomorrow. Nice woody kind of scent. Maybe that'll be what I did. But because I had this light scrubby brush, I really wanted the enjoyment of working up the slurry with it. I like that. When I do scoop out of the bowl and press it into my scoop out of the tub of soap and press it into my lather bowl, I miss that kind of mixing up of the brush and the soap and the slurry and all that. I don't know. It's part of the experience for me. There we go. The brush was a little bit more strong in terms of backbone than I remember, but it didn't rough up my skin or anything like that. I look forward to what it's going to turn into later. The Pereira bowl was perfect for this. It does feel just a little high for its width. I wouldn't mind if maybe it was just a touch lower, or better yet, a little bit wider. Maybe just half an inch is all you would need. That's just my own preference. And that's today's shave. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that there's something in here for you. And as a final thought, I just got in recently a cologne and the splash and the soap for Fake Yellow Light from Declaration Grooming. And the scent, I got a sample of it, but maybe the making of the sample tubs and scooping and all that, maybe that robbed it, that let some of the scent just kind of float away. I don't know, but it was much more present in the big tub, and I'm just really gonna look. It seems to be just right my style, like along the lines of Cerberus and those kinds of colognes and fragrances. And so really looking forward to trying that. When I think maybe that might be the first one I jump on when I quit with my Stirling rampage here. And it is in honor of their 10 years of being in existence as a business, as of just recently here, this January 2022. So this is for them. And I'm just having fun going through my Stirling products. Often I'm able to whip out a Stirling balm as well at the end of the shave, but I've always been using lately a Stirling soap. So there we go. All right, this is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You guys take care. Have a good night.